okay to do it yourself. So I personally I don't believe that everything needs to be done by a professional company. So again, if you understand why you're doing your video content, then it should help you backwards engineer what kind of content you should be doing. I think there are situations where it is appropriate for you guys to be doing it yourself. Anybody here have a blog? Anybody? Okay. If you decide you want to start doing video blog posts, I think it's acceptable to do it yourself. I know a lot of people who have built an audience on YouTube doing this kind of thing. So if you're in that kind of business, then I think it's okay to do a video blog post. Just make sure that you still look good and sound good. Okay. I think where a lot of people fall down with video is sound. So video is not just a picture, there's the audio component. So if you don't feel comfortable doing that, then maybe just bringing it up someone to help you kind of in the beginning kind of get off the ground. So a lot of times I hear from CEOs that, as their company grows, it gets harder and harder and harder for them to communicate with the whole company. So video messages from CEO to employees, clients, I think it's acceptable to have you guys do it yourself. I don't know if it's necessary to bring in a professional crew, because then, they show up at your door and the clock starts ticking. So, if you could do it yourself, then I think that is perfectly acceptable. Really, any internal video material, I think, is okay to do it yourself. We also talked about product reviews or anything like that. I think that's okay to do it yourself. I've had clients that wanted to do a ton of customer testimonials, and believe it or not, they actually brought out a camera with lights and audio, so they did make an honest effort of it. And some of their testimonials, even though they looked to me like they were shot by an amateur, but they're some of the most watched videos. So customer testimonials are huge. Like, people love to hear from their peers why they love working with you. So don't feel like you have to have a professional video crew come out every time. I think it's more important to get the content, you get the stories. So sometimes we have companies that they want to start producing a lot of video. So if you have a budget for the equipment is not cheap, I'll tell you that much. However, if you want to start doing it, you have a large enough team that you can support it yourself, it will in the long term be more cost effective for you to do it yourself than to hire a production team every time. I can tell that most clients face difficulty not with shooting. Everyone seems to love the shooting process. They tend to get really bogged down with the editing. That's what takes really, really long time. And you guys have a million other things that you need to be doing. So sometimes we have clients that shoot their own video and they mail us the video footage, and we just try our best to make it look pretty. So, have you guys heard this expression, "when to kill the baby"?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Good.
Journalism says a great soundbite. It's like, when you study, no, kill it.
I have to be careful where I use this expression. So it's an interesting term. I know writers use it as well. So it's the idea being that, when it's your story, you love it so much, kill it. And I think it is also helpful at times to bring in someone from the outside to kind of help you come in and tell you that I think is relevant, guys, that is not relevant. Like, you're getting lost in the weeds. Even for myself, like next year we're going to be redoing our website over, and I am considering bringing someone else in to interview me because it's my story. Like, I love it all. I think it's all relevant. I think it's all powerful. But someone else is going to be like, not really. But I need that feedback, right? So as business owners, and we all tend to drink the Kool-Aid. So it's helpful sometimes if you have a hard time doing this internally. Maybe you don't, but I know I do, for myself. Okay, so now we're going to get into some practical tips as far as how to optimize your video on YouTube. So if you have any questions, please don't stop. This is a little bit more technical stuff. So were you guys here for his SEO talk? Okay, so hopefully some of this is not Greek. If it is Greek, please stop me. As I mentioned earlier, YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. That's a pretty huge opportunity. So Google is number one, as we all know, and YouTube is number two. So what a great opportunity to kind of get your business out there. And people who maybe haven't heard of it can now hear of it and see you talking about it and learn more about what it is that you do. The only problem with YouTube is that if it's not done correctly, it's really wasted effort. So the greatest video in the world, what good is it if no one's coming to watch it? And that's why I think video with SEO is a kind of a great fit together. So do you guys all have YouTube channels yet for your company, your business? You do, okay. So make sure you add your company name or a main search term within the title of your company. Okay, so in our case, all of our videos, everything is tabbed Boston Video Production. Everything, because that's one of our major search terms. This seems simple, but ensure that you've checked the visibility box to make the channel visible to the public. We talked about keeping it private. The problem is when you start setting it private, it's really hard for people to watch it. And you don't have as much control over who can, you know what I mean? It's just not, it's not very sophisticated, but it is free. So what was so great about YouTube is that there's so many, these are some like numbers over here on the right-hand side of the screen, backing up why YouTube is such a powerful medium for marketers. So what you gain, you know, with exposure, you know, you lose some of the control over that message, unfortunately. So you have to fill out the description. I want to say like the first thing should be like a link back to your company site. So like on our channel, we always say, you know, Skillman Video Group, please visit you know, skillmanvideogroup.com, and it is a hyperlink because you want people to be able to find you as soon as possible if they want to talk to you. But those descriptions are incredibly important because if they're not optimized correctly, people aren't, it's not going to come up in the search feed. So are you guys all familiar with keywords? Okay, good. So you have to really be strategic and think, what are people searching? And it's not always the most obvious thing. So what I love about online marketing is the amount of data we can get, right? We can know where they're coming from, where on your site they're going, how they found you, what keywords they searched to find you. Take that data and like use that to help optimize some of your video content. So if you know you have certain keywords that are killing it, or you have a couple of keywords that you want to go after next month or something like that, this is a great way to help you do that. And if you're linking back to your site, guess what? Google loves to see backlinks. So also add a link to this video on your Facebook or Twitter page, LinkedIn page, whatever page. You've spent the money on the video, presumably, get some mileage out of it. Obviously, this is going back to the channel. You want to try to brand it as much as you can. Use your company logo. People want to make sure people know that's you. You guys know what the featured content box is. It's on your channel. You can kind of control what video goes on there. You really have some control. They've really given you some nice fine-tuning control over making your YouTube channel look like your website now. So you can go on there and choose which video you want to be featured. Again, include your company name and relevant keywords in all video titles. So we already talked about that for the description. That's also important for the video titles. So like in our case, like that how-to video that you saw, it says Boston Video Production Company first, and then what the video is about second, because our major keyword is Boston Video Production Company. So you want to think about that in your title. You'll also find it in the description of the video on YouTube as well. Always add video tags, so use 3 to 5 keywords and separate them with quotation marks or commas. For example, video optimization, search engine optimization, YouTube SEO, or law firm video, or trademark video, or something like that. So, I say any more than 3 to 5, and Google's going to start to make it irrelevant. So, and sometimes they'll even start to penalize you. So I think 3 to 5 is about a good target. So this is a nice functionality that YouTube just added. Is now you can actually choose a thumbnail. When YouTube first came on, you had no choice over what the thumbnail was. So, for me, the video would always come up with somebody going like this. They're terrible. It was so hideous, and no one's going to watch it. Unfortunately, it's an ugly thumbnail. Nobody's going to watch your video. But they now have smartened up and give you options. I believe you can even like post a photo. So if you took like a nice photo of whoever's in the video, put that over the thumbnail, the more attractive the picture is, the more clicks you're gonna get. So privacy, make sure that it's set to public. Select the standard YouTube license. I would allow comments, comment voting, video responses, ratings, embedding, syndication. On Vimeo, again, understanding where you're putting your video and why. I won't allow anyone to download it. I can not allow anyone to allow comments. I have a lot of control over who's seeing it, how they see it, when they see it. There are other systems out there that will even tell you who watched it, how far into the video they actually watched. It's incredible some of the data you can get out there. These are third-party providers, you have to pay for it. But if you're serious about doing video marketing, it might be worth the investment. YouTube, you don't get any of that. But if you're using YouTube, it's because you want to get it out in the widest possible audience you can, and there's nothing better than YouTube for that. Are you guys aware that Google cannot crawl? Do you know what crawling is? Okay, no? Did you say no? So they have their bots, and that's how they figure out your SEO ranking, also called spiders. So, and they crawl your site, and they're looking for certain things, which hopefully you talked about in the last workshop, but they're looking for the keywords, they're looking for linking, they're looking for this kind of like ecosystem of great content, relevant keywords, so you can't have a blog post come up that's about construction, but then you're talking about shoes or something silly like that. YouTube's gonna say, forget it, you're done. Or Google's gonna say that. So, unfortunately, as of now, Google has no way to crawl your video. But on YouTube, you can upload a caption file. So I strongly suggest that you do a transcription of all your videos if you're putting them on YouTube. If your purpose is to do marketing, and if your purpose is for SEO, if your purpose is to get people to click through and come to your site, I would definitely do a transcription, and I would upload the closed caption files. They have annotations, they have cards, I'd use all those. Go ahead, yeah.
Sorry, what does the transcription do? Does it allow Google to
See the words.
see the words?
So what they're saying is now searchable.
Okay.
I think it's definitely worth doing. Any other questions about YouTube specifically? So now we're going to talk a little about SEO. The transcription is also important because for search engine optimization, because if you guys are spending all this money on video content, you want to get as much mileage out of it as you can. So whenever we do a video for ourselves, we blog that we did the video. We blogged about how we edited the video, and then we actually blog about the actual video itself. And because the more content you're creating on your site, the more Google likes it, right? So you want to try to embed this video that you've done in as many different websites as possible, and always have it linking back to your site. Again, Google likes to see this kind of positive ecosystem between your site and other sites, and that this is all relative content, your keywords. So it's just a good practice to be in. Do you guys know what landing pages are? Have you done these? Okay. So whenever we create video for ourselves, we will do a landing page within our website talking about the video. And in that case, I might also include the transcript there too. Because now I can load up that transcript with keywords and link it, do all the SEO stuff you're supposed to be doing. And that's just giving you more juice. Yes?
Where on your website do you put your landing pages for your video?
So they're not visible from the navigation bar.
Okay, so they're just like out in space.
They're out in space.
Okay.
But I mean, I think landing pages really work. Like if you Google top 10 Boston video production companies, my website will come up because we did an article. We did not include ourselves in that, by the way. But that is a landing page that we created specifically for SEO because that's a keyword a lot of people want to know. And why not do that for your video? If you want it, now in Bain Capital's example where I talked about Brexit, they put their video on their homepage because it was such a relevant topic that caused a lot of angst and anxiety in the world because everyone wanted to know, like, what does this mean for the world economy? What does this mean for Europe? Even as a layperson, I was like watching the whole video, like, what does that mean? So I think there are times when you might want your video on your homepage. Certainly a brand video should be on your homepage, in my opinion. But if you're just creating content, for search engine marketing purposes, it does not need to be on your homepage. It can be hidden elsewhere. Social media, so you could have a whole different talk on social media in and of itself, guys. Does anybody here do Facebook marketing? Okay. So there's a whole science just to Facebook marketing in and of itself. However, I will just say that as far as your video is concerned, I mean, there is really no greater shareable content than video. I don't know if you guys have found that to be true. Do you put video on your Facebook pages? How do you see any response difference?
There is response difference. There's more of it, but we don't do enough of them. Need to do more, but there is definitely more likes and more engagement.
Which is what you really want out of social media, right? So the thing about native Facebook videos, please be aware that they do begin playing right away in their feed. So you need to take that into consideration when you think about what kind of video you're going to put up in your Facebook marketing. You're just doing talking heads, you're probably not going to get a whole lot of engagement. So you really need to be strategic because those first 3 seconds you've got to grab their attention so that they actually click. And a lot of times, as someone who frequents Facebook, they'll kind of put these fantastic video titles like best dog video ever or something like that. It's kind of ridiculous, but that's because they're trying to grab your attention and watch your video content. So that's something for you to consider. You've really got to stand out from the crowd in that extent. So talking bobbleheads, as we say it, that won't cut it. You've really got to have something in those first few seconds that's going to draw them in because they can't hear it. They just see it moving, okay? Again, if you're paying for this video content, you should put it on every single social networking website, like Twitter or LinkedIn. Instagram, I don't know if you're B2B, how relevant that is for you. If you're marketing to consumers, it's definitely worth looking into. That has to be really artistic, and I think they have to be really short. I don't have a whole lot of experience with Snapchat. Have you guys heard of Snapchat? For a business of my size, I haven't found it to be particularly relevant because I don't think you tell me, are you looking for a video company on Snapchat? No. But if you are a company that's marketing to millennials, it might make sense for you to put content up on Snapchat, if that's your thing.
I think Instagram actually has surpassed Facebook with younger people. So it depends on the age of the group you're marketing to.
Who are you marketing to? And what an awesome opportunity in history, guys, that we can have direct access like that for nothing other than our time. That is never before seen in human history. This is a really unique time for us to be taking advantage of getting our story across, and we can be really creative in different ways now, and I think that that's really cool. Anybody here do email marketing of some kind? So just some tips for what to do with video and email marketing. You can't really, maybe there's some softwares out there that will allow you to put a video in the email itself. It's tricky. Not everyone's email server is going to allow that. I would recommend against not doing it right now because you're just increasing the odds that your email's going to bounce, which is defeating the purpose. So in this case, I would embed the video on a landing page on your website. Make sure you set the video to autoplay so that when people click from the email to your landing page, it actually just starts playing. Okay? The least amount of resistance you put between you and your audience, the better. Within the email, include an image from your video, put maybe a play button over the top so it looks like it's a video. So when they click on that, it's just going to go to the landing page and the video is going to start playing.
I've also had luck in email. We've done the play button before, but we also have put in a GIF with the play button over it, and so they can see the movement is really eye-catching, and we'll use that and then have it go through the video.
See, you just covered my next point. See,
Oh
it's
my God,
ready?
sorry.
She just did it right there. Thank you. It's my understanding that some email programs have a problem with gifts. I don't know if you found that to be true.
I use Constant Contact and it works great.
It does? Okay.
Yeah.
Have you heard any complaints from your customers about not being able to watch it or play it?
No, we don't really do a good job of connecting with our customers.
Okay.
Well, we're B2B, so it's a little different.
It's my understanding that they may not be able to watch it on their
Yeah,
end.
that's good to know. That's good
So
to
it
know.
might be worth asking,
Yeah.
because you don't want a big question, like a big blank spot where your video is supposed to be. The gifts are cool,
Yeah.
certainly, okay? But not everyone can do it. Again, we talked a little bit about length. I hate to say that everyone across the board, all videos should be this length. But particularly for email marketing, if this is a first touch for them, your video should not be any more than a minute or two max. Really, I promise you they're gonna turn it off. If they are further down your funnel and they've already had several touches from you, I think that it could justifiably be longer. Do you guys do a lot of targeted emailing, campaigning, or somewhat? Well, there's such huge opportunities for email marketing. This is again not an email marketing seminar, but just make sure that it's particularly targeted if you're going to have video content. But you want to make sure that they're going to the right people, because then you're spending all this time and effort, and if this is going to bounce or go in their junk mail box, it doesn't matter. So just something to think about. So I have mixed feelings about call to actions on videos. When it's a brand video in general, I think it's tacky to be like, call now, send us an email. It should be fairly obvious when they're done watching the video what they should do. I personally think that modern day marketing, because of the web, it gives us opportunities for us to tell our stories. And I think consumers today are very jaded. So they know when they're being sold. And what you don't want is for them to start putting up those defenses. Oh, now I'm being sold. I don't want to hear you anymore, right? So if your purpose is just to kind of be that first touch, here we are, yay, we're nice and friendly, whatever your goal is, I would say try to ignore the call to action altogether. As far as being in your physical video, I think maybe you could have a call to action on your landing page, a call to action in your email, a call to action on your social media page. You want to make it easy for people to find you if they want to find you. So I'm not trying to say make it hard on them. I just think it's tacky to do it in your video itself.
Website, though.
Website, fine. You want it to be easy for them to contact you. I include our 800 number and our description in YouTube. If people like the video and they want to talk to me, I want to make it very easy for them to talk to me. But in any of my videos, I don't put them. So I just want to kind of talk the last point, and then I'll be done. You guys are done for the day. Yay! The importance of telling a good story, and I just want to quickly kind of recap a story from my life about why storytelling, I think, from a marketing perspective is so important. So way back in 2012, I was still working out of Somerville, Mass. Is where I live now, and I had kind of a part-time office, and it wasn't really great. And I got this email from the Cambridge Chamber of Commerce. I used to be really involved with the Cambridge Chamber of Commerce, and they said this company called Regis was doing a Small Business of the Year campaign, and they were giving away free office space for 1 year. And click here to apply. And I have to be honest, I kind of thought this is probably some kind of spam or phishing. They just want my email so they can sell me crap. But what the heck? And I go on, and of course one of the questions is, why should we give you this office? And I started with my usual spiel of, Stillman Video Group is a full-service video production company, and we can do blah, 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 blah. And I just remember thinking, oh my God, I'm really bored. And the thought just came across my mind, Christina, don't tell them what you do. Tell them who you are. And instead I deleted everything I wrote, and I told you the story that I told you at the beginning of the talk about how I started my business working from home, and if they gave me this office, then I could expand and start bringing people and clients into my office and blah, 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 blah. And that was it. I didn't give another thought to hit send. 3 months later, who do you think they picked?
You.
Out of all New England.
Wow.
I was their Small Business of the Year. And I asked their PR director, because I was like, what part of my story spoke to you? Hoping to get the nice ego stroke, you know? And you know what she said? She was like, what the VP of the company said in the meeting when they were deciding who they're going to choose was, when they saw, remember I said in the beginning I posted on Craigslist? He said, we post to Craigslist too. And at first I was like kind of disappointed. I was like, all that story that I shared with you, the fact that I posted to Craigslist was why you chose me. But as I thought about it later on, I realized, wait a minute, he saw himself in my story. And he felt a connection with that. He felt an emotional connection with me. And he said, I want to help that person get ahead. And I wouldn't underestimate the importance of sharing that story, because someone can hear, you never know what part of that story they're going to hear, and that's going to resonate with them. And then they're going to say, like, okay, that's the company I want to do business with. And that's really, all these tips and tricks are only so good if the story you're telling is something people want to hear. So don't ever get too far away from your humanity, no matter what you do. So, do you guys have any questions, comments? That's all I got.
Thank you.